Welcome to Postscript. Here we hope to answer your questions and help you dig deeper into the messages and sermons at Faithbridge by talking with the teacher of the day.
Hi, and welcome to Postscript. I'm Luann Riley, Grow Group Director, and I'm here with High School Pastor Adam McIntire. This Sunday was missions send-off for high school ministry, and we were excited to join Adam in commissioning the FSM mission teams going out for the summer. And Adam delivered a great message called Meeting Jesus. And you talked a lot about your personal story and how you can use that to be the hands and feet of Jesus and introduce people to Jesus. And we had a couple questions coming in. One, about how do you determine your gifts? And then two, if you're ready to get started and you're challenged to be the hands and feet in Jesus, where do you start? So let's start with the passage that you talked about in Romans. You talked about that the scripture teaches that the church is one body with many members, each having their own gifts.
Right.
So how does one go about discerning and figuring out what are my gifts?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And let me say first, though, that the main part of being the church, the main requirements is that we, like I said in my sermon, is that we just love and serve and pursue. And so regardless of what gifts God has gifted you with, everybody is called to do that. Everybody's called to love and to serve and to pursue others. And like I said, I think far too often we fall into the trap of just simply inviting people to Jesus and talking about Jesus to people. When in reality, what we should be doing is inviting those people into our everyday life. If we are the church and if we are the hands and feet of Christ, then we need to invite others into that family, into that community, because that is where they will truly be introduced to people or introduced to Jesus. And that is where they'll truly get to know him. And so, there's, like I said, there's so many different ways you can do that. Number one would be joining a grow group, I think. I mean, that's just so important to what we do here. And it's inside of grow groups that you can, come up with strategies together of, what can we do to best reach our neighbors and to be Jesus to them. And that can look like 1,000 different things. I mean, if you know that a lot of your neighbors watch the Texans, then throw a huge Texans viewing party. Invite your grow group, invite all your neighbors, and just get to know them first. And just without any kind of agenda, just love them. And let them get to know you, and then just keep doing that. Keep inviting them to things, keep pursuing them, and things that aren't just church-related functions. And then slowly, as they get to know you and trust you more, and they know that, man, these people really do love me, and they're not just trying to sell something, they're not just trying to push an agenda. That's when you will earn the right to then just start sharing Jesus with them. And as far as gifts, I mean, there's so many different ways that you can try to figure out what your gifts are. I mean, there are assessments that you can take online where you take like the quiz, and it takes about an hour, and afterwards that test will kind of help you figure out what are my spiritual gifts. Sometimes you just have to take a step back and examine your own life. Like, what are my interests? What do I love to do? For me, I loved studying theology, and then I loved teaching theology. And so I feel like one of my strong gifts is teaching. For someone else, if that just sounds not a lot of fun, then right, exactly. If that sounds like something they don't really want to do, then that obviously is not going to be their gift. They might be much better on a relational level of just talking one-on-one to people. They might be better at worshiping. They might be incredible at just going and praying for people. Whatever it is, sometimes you just have to take a step back and say, okay, what draws me closer to Jesus? What stirs my affections for Jesus? And then that usually can hint at what our spiritual gifts
and I think you definitely said it best there in relationship. Whether it's in a grow group or with a mentor or someone very trusted, a great way to do that is to talk through those kind of stirrings that you have in your heart with someone who can maybe see things in you that can be used for the kingdom as well.
Definitely.
So if someone was challenged today that heard your message and has begun thinking about just really pursuing this and getting out there, being the hands and feet of Jesus, You mentioned some in your message, but if you could just talk through a few of those, just practical ways here at Faithbridge even that we could sort of onboard people to begin really going out and living that mission.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. In my sermon, I think I mentioned 3 different ways that we can kind of jump in. The first, as I mentioned earlier, was grow groups. Absolutely vital. I mean, if you're not a part of a grow group, even if it's not here at Faithbridge, but you need to be part of some community that exists outside of a building, that is actually out there in the world, surrounded by people who don't know Jesus, where you can, like I said, brainstorm with that community on how you can best reach those people that are surrounding you, how you can best come to know them and love them and then draw them into this family. I think that's the most important one. And then one of the other things you can do, especially if you have just become a Christian recently, is we offer classes called Starting Point classes where from Genesis to Revelation, we kind of walk through the Bible. And the purpose of that class is just to equip people to go out and be Jesus to the world. That's what we're trying to do. That's why we learn things. We don't learn them just so we can know more things. We learn them so that we can take what we learn and go put it into practice.
Right.
Which then leads to the last thing, which is you can actually join a serve team. We have so many different serve teams at Faithbridge that do so many different things, either in Faithbridge or out in the community. And so, I mean, there's just so many different options there. If you want to start with something like you can join the parking team and just help park people on Sunday mornings, or I mean, you can go as far as to actually join one of these mission journeys. There's student and adult mission journeys that go all over the world to serve and to love in the name of Jesus. And like I said in my sermon, there's just no better way to learn how to be Jesus than to just go out and start practicing. Yep. Essentially, that's what it takes. It takes just a lot of practice. And so, that's what we're trying to draw people towards here. And yeah, so grow groups, Starting Point, and serve teams. Those are the 3 best ways.
Great. Awesome. And a great message today, too.
Thank you.
And thank you for your questions today and joining us here for Postscript. We'll see you back here next week.
Thanks for joining us for Postscript. Help us keep the podcast interactive by submitting your questions during the morning services. Learn more at faithbridge.org/postscript.